Let's switch gears to the Eastern Conference and let's talk about the 7 versus 2 matchup. It's the 7 seeded Atlanta Hawks versus the 2 seed Boston Celtics. So, when I look at this series and my expectations for this series, let's start off with the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks, they finished the season 41-41. They beat the Miami Heat in the play-in game in Miami the other night to lock up the 7th seed. In their last 10 games, they are 5-5 during the regular season. And during the regular season, Trae Young averaged 26 points per game on 43% shooting from the floor, shot 34% from three-point range. Murray averaged 21 points per game and shot 46% from the floor overall. And the Atlanta Hawks were inconsistent all season long. They fired Nate McMillan earlier in the season. They brought in Quinn Snyder. And I like the hire, bringing in Quinn Snyder. I think Quinn Snyder did a tremendous job while he was in Utah. He gave the Utah Jazz their best chance as a head coach to be able to advance in the playoffs. They just didn't have enough. They had Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, who's inconsistent, but they didn't have no other star in Utah to help Donovan Mitchell and help the Utah Jazz advance in the playoffs. But I thought Quinn Snyder did a hell of a job coaching while he was in Atlanta, while he was in Utah. And I thought it was a good pickup with him going now to Atlanta. When I look at this series with the Hawks and the Celtics, they are 3-0 against the Hawks this season. The Celtics beat the Hawks November 16th in Atlanta, 126-101. The Celtics also beat the Hawks March 11th, 134-125. And then recently in Boston, the Celtics beat the Hawks again, 120-114. That was on April the 9th, so not too long ago. So the Celtics has pretty much dominated this matchup against the Atlanta Hawks. This is the statistics from their 3 matchups. The Celtics, they averaged 127 points per game. The Hawks average 113 points per game. The Celtics shoot 52% from the floor. The Hawks shoot just 46% from the floor. The Celtics shoot 47% from 3. The Hawks shoot just 27% from 3. The Celtics average 47 paint points, and the Hawks average 62 paint points. And Tatum and Young are your respective leading scorers. I believe that the Boston Celtics have been the best team, not only in the Eastern Conference, but in the NBA all season long. You look at what they've been able to do this year and their record. They finished the season 57-25. That's the second best in the East. But this year, one of the things that I was most impressed about when it comes to the Celtics was how they performed against the other elite teams in the East. This year, the Boston Celtics in the regular season, they played great against the Sixers and the Bucks. The Bucks are the number 1 seed in the East, respectfully, and the Sixers are the number 3 seed in the East as well. And the Celtics, they beat the Sixers, I believe, in 3 out of their 4 matchups. The one time they lost against the Sixers was a game where Jaylen Brown didn't even play. And the game was still competitive and almost went to overtime. And I think the Celtics got the Sixers number. And remember a few weeks ago in Milwaukee, the Celtics sent the message to the Milwaukee Bucks. They beat the Milwaukee Bucks. I think it was 141-99. It was something like that. It was a complete beatdown. And I thought the Celtics sent the message to the Bucks that even if you got home court advantage, if the road to the NBA Finals has to go through Milwaukee, we ain't got no problem coming to Milwaukee and beat y'all on y'all home court. So I thought that was a great game for the Celtics, and they beat the Bucks as well pretty convincingly throughout the entire season. And against the Hawks, I believe that the Celtics are the better team. I think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, you can make an argument, are the best players from both teams in this series. Like if you look at both teams and their rosters, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are the two best players in the series, and they play for the Boston Celtics. Now, the Hawks do got Trae Young, and there were reports a few days ago before the play-in game against the Heat where the Hawks may be open to trading Trae Young. They may be open to it. And there's questions about his leadership. He's been through 3 coaches while he's been in Atlanta since he's gotten drafted. It was Nate McMillan. It was, I think, one of their old coaches' name was Lloyd. I can't think of his first name, but his last name was Lloyd. Then it was Nate McMillan, now it's Quinn Snyder. So people are asking the question about whether or not you can build a championship team around Trae Young. And I think that's legit. I think those are legitimate questions. I remember when he first came into the NBA, and then around that year when they got to the Eastern Conference Finals, and remember in the first round, that was when Ben Simmons was pathetic. They upset the Sixers in the first round. They got to the Eastern Conference Finals against Giannis and the Bucks. They lost, but that was a great season for the Atlanta Hawks. And I remember I was hearing people talk about Trae Young, and they were saying, oh, this is Steph Curry 2.0. He shoot just like Steph. This year, the man shot 33% from three-point range. As much as I love Trae Young, bro, you ain't Steph Curry yet. Not yet. Now, maybe in due time, you could get better at hitting perimeter shots, but he's been very, very inefficient from the three-point stripe. Very, very inefficient. And I believe that for the Hawks to have any chance at winning this series, they need Trae Young to play at an elite level, and I just don't think he's going to be able to do it because I think defensively, the Boston Celtics are one of the best teams in the NBA. They're one of the best teams offensively and defensively. They have the 3rd best defensive rating in the NBA. Offensively, they are tied for 2nd in the NBA. So I believe that Joe Mazzulla is going to send a lot of different coverages Trae Young's way. It's probably going to be some Jaylen Brown on Trae Young. It's going to be some Marcus Smart on Trae Young. Marcus Smart won Defensive Player of the Year award last year, and I think the Celtics are going to confuse Trae Young, and it's going to be hard for him to score in this series. It's going to be hard for him to score, and in order for them to have a chance, they're going to need Trae Young to play at a high level. You look at Trae Young and what he did scoring the basketball, and in 2020-2021 playoffs, he averaged 29 points per game on 42% shooting from the floor, 31% shooting from three-point range, not very good. 9.5 assists per game, only 4 turnovers. Now, last year against the Miami Heat, a series where the Hawks got significantly outplayed, Trae Young averaged only 15 points per game on 32% shooting from the floor, 18% from three-point range, 6 assists, and 6 turnovers. So, 2020, he had a great playoff run. In 2021, last year, not so much. Not so much. He didn't really play well at all. And I feel like when I look at the Atlanta Hawks, again, they got to the Eastern Conference Finals a few years ago against the Bucks, but they've went down here ever since. They went down here. They lost to the Miami Heat in the playoffs last year. This year, they barely got into the playoffs. They snuck in, as a play-in team, but they just been inconsistent all year long. And I'm looking at the Boston Celtics, their starting 5. It's been one of the best in the NBA, arguably. They got Derek White at point guard. You got Jaylen Brown at the 2. At 3, you got, Tatum. But Tatum he could also play the 4. Marcus Smart also. They play a 3-guard lineup with Marcus Smart, Derek White, and Jaylen Brown. And then you got Tatum and you got Horford at the 5. But because the Hawks have Clint Capella in this series, Joe Mazzulla may have to start Robert Williams at the 5 and have, Al Horford in at the 4, Tatum at the 3, Brown at the 2, and Smart at the 1. Derek White might have to come off the bench in this particular series because Clint Capella is a great offensive rebounder. We saw that in the play-in game against the Heat. The Hawks, they had a lot of offensive rebounds in that game, and that's one of the keys for the Celtics in this series. They got to rebound the basketball because if you give the Hawks second chance opportunities, even though they are the inferior team, if they start hitting some shots and gaining some confidence, this series could get very interesting. So I think it's going to be very, very important for the Celtics to rebound the basketball. Also, in this series, the Celtics got to take care of business at home. I believe if you win games 1 and 2 and you win in decisive fashion, take care of business at home, at TD Garden, and you take away that confidence from the Atlanta Hawks, punch them right in the mouth, I think the Celtics could sweep the Hawks. But you can't allow the Hawks to steal a game at TD Garden, gain some confidence, because in the second round, the Sixers are going to be waiting for the Celtics. Make no mistake about it. The Sixers are going to beat the Nets. I know I ain't previewed that game yet, but the Sixers are going to beat the Nets. So the Celtics got to get ready for the Sixers. So you don't want to have this series go 6, 7 games, even though we feel like the Celtics will beat the Hawks in a 6 or 7 game series. You want to end this series as soon as possible and prepare for the Philadelphia 76ers. But those are some of my keys. Celtics take care of business at home, rebound the basketball, frustrate Trae Young in this series, make it tough on him, and I believe that the Celtics will win this series, and I think they're going to win it in dominating fashion. You look at the odds right now for the series and what Vegas expects the series to be. It's a plus 190 for the Celtics to win the series 4-1, plus 230 for the Celtics to sweep the Hawks, plus 380 for the Celtics to beat the Hawks 4-2. I believe when it's all said and done, the Boston Celtics will beat the Atlanta Hawks in dominating fashion. I think that Trae Young will get the Atlanta Hawks 1 game. And sometimes the Celtics, they play down to their competition. They play down to their competition sometimes. This year, the Celtics were 1-3 against the Orlando Magic. 1-3 against the Orlando Magic. So they play down to their competition sometimes. But I think that the Celtics are the better basketball team. I believe Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are 2 of the 3 best players in this series. And I think that the Celtics are on a mission to get back to the NBA Finals and this time take care of business in the NBA Finals. And I think that they're going to take care of the Atlanta Hawks in 5 games. So I got Celtics in 5 over the Atlanta Hawks. Everybody go and follow Wise Guys on Twitter at WiseGuys_H. Also on Facebook, Wise Guys. And be sure to follow Wise Guys at Instagram at These Guys Know Sports. I'll be right back.